All right, guys. Well, we don't have a ton of people on here, which is unfortunate, because I do have some fun things to share as far as how to crush your goals and to make sure that we stay on track with our lead pillars. I think a lot of us have started our business plans, or have a business plan ready to go. And if you were in the ones I did, I focus on quarterly master or quarterly business plans. I know that some people focus on an annual plan, whatever you have as a plan for your 2026 goals. Obviously, what day is it, the 11th? We've already have been 11 days into what should be your 2026 business plan, because everything we do today, usually doesn't take into account or doesn't close until the following year. So, getting into what we have as a clear plan, um, you know, Bill Pipe says, and even Tom Ferry would, say, they kind of say the same thing, that you should have 4 to 5 lead pillars to be able to hit your goals, independent of what your goals are. And so hopefully you guys have 4 or 5 lead pillars that you have put a game plan together of execution for next year. And what I want to focus on today is some of the things that we can do to make sure that we hold each other accountable, and most certainly ourselves accountable on how to achieve that goal. Now, I think the very first thing that we need to do is to make sure that we are hyper clear on the target that we have. Like, you just don't want to say, like, I want to sell more homes, right? Because, like, it's absolutely impossible to hit that target if, by saying a general, I want to sell more homes, right? Like, you want to be able to say, hey, I want to sell 2 listings a month, 3 listings a month, 1 listing a month, whatever that number is. And then, of course, I'm sure you guys have all done this exercise. If you already haven't, you absolutely need to. And that is to divide the amount of listings or transactions you want to do for per month into how many conversations you need to have to attain that transaction. Right now, based on your level of expertise, based on the type of leads you work, that could be as low as 20 people per conversation, or 20 conversations per transaction closed, or it could be upwards to 100 conversations to a transaction closed. And so, let's take the middle of the road and say 50. So if it takes 50 conversations or 50 new people that you talk to have 1 sale, and you want to sell 2 homes per month, then that means you need to have 100 conversations per transaction or per month. And the cool thing is, you can, if you were to look at it as a lead pillar, you can say, well, I know, or my goal is that I'm going to have, call it 5 transactions that take place in the form of open houses. And so if you say, if I want to do 5, or, if I want to do 2 transactions or 5 transactions out of my 20 transactions for the year come from open houses, and it takes 50 conversations to do a transaction. And you can also, break it down by saying, and also on the average, I have 5 to 10 people that come to my open houses per open house that I do. Then you know exactly how many open houses you need to do, how many conversations you need to have to be able to make that transaction happen. Now, it doesn't work as simple as that, right? It's not like, okay, it's going to take me, call it 5 open houses to do a deal. And then you do 5 open houses and you get upset because you haven't, you didn't put anything in the contract. Well, it doesn't work that way, because you can do 5 open houses and get 2 deals, and then do 10 open houses and get 0, right? But it's just naturally an average. And so but that's how you work. That's how you make things duplicatable and systematic instead of just shooting from your hip. And so if you have not done that, if you have not gotten very clear on what your goal is, then guess what's going to happen? 2026 is going to be another year where you throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. If you don't want that type of a response, or that type of an outcome, then it's hard. I know it's hard. Nobody likes doing it. But you need to take a moment and look at this from a completely straight numbers game. And getting very clear with your goals is number 1 thing. And the number 2 is to build your weekly plan based on the lead pillar that you're going to work. Now, you might say, my goal is to do 20 homes or 20 sales this year. And I'm going to focus my first quarter of this year on 2 lead pillars only. And therefore, every single week you can say, what am I going to focus on this week? And you could arguably either do 1 week where you're focusing on only one lead pillar exclusively, or you can divide it that week up and say, I'm going to spend, 2 days this week on social media, and the 3 days out of the week I'm going to do open houses or focus on open houses, and all the things that entail to get prepared for that. And then you keep on doing that until you master those lead pillars and get the transactions that you want from there. Not to say that other transactions can't come from other opportunities, but your focus, right? Your clear determination of what you're going to commit to and be hyper focused on for that week or that month or that day needs to be specific and in your calendar. Am I missing you guys? Is this going above your head, or you're like, yeah, this makes sense, but, and then you have some excuse in your head as to why you can't do it? Listen, there's only like 10 of us on here. So like, I'd love some interaction if we can get some interaction going. When you think about that, what thoughts come to mind, John?
No, I get what you're saying. We do it every year. And I don't want to say it's excuses, but we let things come in the way.
Yeah.
Because we don't, because we get all let ourselves get off track and we don't review it. Actually, our thing this year, we've done it for a year, but this year we're going to do quarterly. I think the year is it's too far out. It's just we're quarterly. I think if you set those quarterly plans, it's going to be a little more urgency. And so we're gonna do it quarterly. We're gonna have everybody kind of write out basically, hey, at the end of the quarter, this is where I'm at. This is what I've done. And then at the end of that quarter, we're going to review, open those up. We're going to seal them, open them up, and say, okay, this is what you said you were going to do. This is what you did. Where's the difference, and what can you do if you didn't get there? What can you do different?
I love that, John, and that's what I did with my team. I'm going to maybe suggest that you scale it even further back and do monthly.
Yeah.
Because what ends up happening is that even on a quarterly basis, it's not front of your head and your mind, and therefore it's too far out to think about. But if you do a monthly goal and then dissect that down to weekly tasks, then it makes it very, like, if you think about like a mathematical equation, if you get too complex into a super complex calculus equation, it gets too overwhelming. But if you break it down to simple algebra, right, as its core, then it makes it easier, right? If you're trying to figure out what x is and x plus 2 equals 5, then it's easy to be able to know what x is, right? And so let's break that down. And I think the first thing you do is you get very, very clear on exactly what your goals are going to be. And it's not it'd be great to sell 10 to 15 homes or 10 to 20 homes. I love hearing that from people. Or I'm going to sell, my goal is to sell anything, roughly around 10 homes or 50 homes, or like they just make some weird number out of their head. And maybe before you even get to know how many homes you need to sell, maybe you might have a goal of how much money you want to make, right? You say, this is the money that I want to make in 2026. This is my average commission check. And that's going to determine how many transactions you're going to do in 2026. And if that's the case, then you say, okay, if I'm going to do 20 homes or 20 transactions, I could anticipate based on the actions that I do, because you can't control external sources or external events, right? Or people. You can most control only what you have action or you have control over. And so you can say, I am going to get 10 listings and 10 buyer transactions. That's my goal. And because of that, if it's my buyer or my listing goal is 10, and from that listing goal, I could expect that 5 of them come from my sphere and past clients, then you could either front load that to make it easier for you, or you can spread it across the whole year. But if you front load that, then you can say, what are the activities that I need to do? How many of my past clients in sphere do I need to talk to every single week for the next month, week, and quarter that are going to get me the highest probability of the things that I have control over to get the results I want? You guys got me? And so, number one, go ahead.
Maybe a little over analytical, but I built a calculator where if you put in the average sales price and put in your goal, how much that what your goal is, and divided by your average commission, basically how many closings you need, how many of those do you want to be buyers, how many do you want to be sellers, how many conversations do you need for each, how many appointments do you need.
Absolutely. All of that. That's not being over analytical. That's being very intentional. Because once you find out how many transactions you want, where they're going to come from, and then how many people you need to talk to per day, per month, per week, then it's just you're checking off boxes. I mean, hopefully you don't do it that way, but you're going to check off boxes. But I'm going to keep on going here. So you got your 4 or 5 lead pillars. You're going to figure out which ones you're going to dedicate to each quarter or month. And then you can find out how many people you need to talk to for each one of those lead pillars per day, per month. And then you can put that in your calendar so that it becomes very clear on not knowing what you're going to do, when you're going to do it. Same thing with social media. Any lead pillar that you have, you get very intentional and get very, very focused every single week and month on what you're going to do. And then you're going to time block, right? You can say from this hour to this hour, this is what I'm going to commit to doing. This hour to this hour, this is what I'm going to commit to doing. And you have it on your calendar that way. And I know it's hard because as agents, we get calls to put out fires. We get calls. A buyer wants to see homes, spontaneously. We get calls to go on listing appointments or whatever it is. I want to share with you something that I've said before many a times. I heard it again while I was visiting Tori a couple of days ago in her office. And she goes, real estate, there's no emergencies in real estate. This isn't, we're not working at an emergency at a hospital, right? Like that's not where we're at here. We are absolutely in an environment that we get to control our time. We get to control our time. And therefore, blocking your time to do certain tasks are going to keep you on track. They will help you avoid the roller coaster ride because a lot of agents, especially in the very beginning, they're like, I got to be all in and I got to babysit that deal because if it does fall apart, that's all the money that I, was trying to make and I was counting on. And in this business, you very well know if you've been around for a minute, you cannot count your chickens before they hatch, right? Because anything can go even to the last minute. And so if you're not putting enough momentum and constantly building more opportunities for yourself, then you can be riding that roller coaster for the rest of your life. And it is not for the faint of heart, let alone is it fun. So to avoid the heartache, then if you are intentional and you put the time and block the efforts that you need and get very, very clear on your focus and your goals, then it just becomes a process. Okay. And then the fourth thing you need to do, aside from time blocking, is measuring what matters every single day, right? Measuring the conversations you had, measuring the appointments that you set, measuring the appointments you went on, measuring how many videos you posted, how many videos you made, the follow-ups that you completed, right? If you've got a CRM system, which obviously most of you guys do, clean that up and making sure that all the notes are in as they should be because you've time blocked the time to do so. How many deals you have in the pipeline, how many deals are falling out of escrow, actions that you've committed to doing per lead pillar, what needs to be fixed, what's working well, like taking an inventory of that every single day at the end of the day. I know it seems like a lot. It doesn't take a lot of time. You just have to be intentional about it. Then you do it. When I worked at Subway as my first job a long, long time ago outside of my family business, we had a chore list of every single day before we closed that store out, like this and this and this. And like we had a whole list of things that needed to be done. All the produce that needed to be cut, all the bread that needed to be prepared, all the yada, yada, all the things that need to be cleaned, all the dishes that need to be done. Like we had all these things that needed to be done and we could not leave the store until all those things were completed. Up and above making sandwiches and making sales, right? And so why not treat our business like an actual business? And if you are, then why not? You are your own boss in an essence. You got to hold you accountable, right? Because if you were your own employee, would you fire you? A lot of us would fire us if we were our employees. Be like, you suck. You did not do what you said you were going to do. We would do that. And why? Be your best employee because you're going to be the one that's going to be making the money, right? Okay, last thing. Weekly review. I know we talked about daily reviews, but weekly review, right? What was working? What wasn't working? And these are the times you make those small adjustments, the micro adjustments. Okay, well, do I need to ignore this lead pillar? Or do I need to focus more on this? Or do I need to double down on this? Do I increase or decrease this? Like, what's that one thing that I can move that's going to make me more effective moving forward? And this isn't, we haven't even talked about educating ourselves, market knowledge, those types of things. That's just kind of comes with it. This is, listen, you guys, like the stuff we do is not, most certainly not rocket science, and it's not surgery, right? Like there's some pretty complex things that, if done wrong, have a catastrophic result. Ours don't, right? We have all made really stupid mistakes that have cost our clients at some point something, either be time, energy, money, whatever it might be, right? And that sucks, and it really does. Like, and we all, I'm sure all of us feel bad when that happens. It is the responsibility that we all have. We have taken an oath to be able to be a fiduciary in behalf of our clients. And a fiduciary is someone that takes the responsibility to say, I'm going to do what is in your best interest, not mine. And to do that, that means that you need to educate yourself so you are more educated and more experienced and have more knowledge than who you are helping. Because if you have less knowledge and less know-how than the person you're helping, then you effectively become a door opener. And in fact, you become more of a hindrance than you do someone that is helping.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to educate ourselves. And then the ones that separate, or the way we get separated between the ones that are successful in this business, the ones that don't, are the ones that take their business like a business, treat it like a business.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got to ask yourself, would you fire yourself if you were your own employee? And if the answer is yes, then you got to put yourself on notice, right? You could have a literally a come to Jesus moment in the mirror and say, okay, it's time. We're going to have a sit down right now, and you can talk to yourself and nobody's around, so they won't think you're weird. And then you're going to say, all right, Bob, Nazar, what, you said that you were going to commit to doing this and this and this and that, and you have not. And what are we going to do about it? And I'm going to put you on notice. You got 30 days to clean up your act. And if you don't, then you'll be fired.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take your business a little bit more seriously and you say, I am committing. Now, I'm not asking you to make massive changes to who you are or what you're doing, because it's impossible. It's too hard. Too hard. But you can make micro changes. You might not be good at all of it, but you can sure damn get good at one aspect of it. Right? Bill Pipes talked the other day about the 5 things that you should master. I don't know if you guys remember that conversation now. You can go back and listen to it. It was another masterclass. I think it was last week. And like, there's the things that you can improve, right? And even if you say, gosh, even that seems overwhelming, and that's okay. Like, I absolutely extend grace to everybody because I expect grace in return. And so if we're all just human beings on this planet doing our very best, like that's great. I just invite you to be better. And the reason I invite you to be better is because I expect better from you. I expect more. And I think you expect more. And so if we all hold each other accountable, because if I didn't care about you, then I wouldn't give a rat's butt what you did and what you didn't do. How many homes you sold and what you didn't sell. Right? Like, the reason our parents are as hard as they are on us is because they want what's best for us. And when we're kids, we most certainly do not look at it from that lens, do we? And so, if you look like you're being captivated or suppressed, or, oh, this sucks, this is too hard, or Nazar's too mean, or whatever it is, like, that's not where I'm coming from. And if you think, oh, he just wants my money, that's not it either. I really want what's best for every single one of you. I want you to be able to excel because, damn it, you are placed on this planet. Got one shot. No do-overs here, right? One shot. Now, that whole YOLO saying is wrong. You don't live once. You die once. You live every day, right? And so if you live every day, then live it to its full potential. Don't let excuses or whatever. I was having a breakfast with Nazar. He's one of our really good agents here in Ohio, Columbus, and immigrant to this country, like just, he just told me this crazy stories of, like, he has a college degree, but he was here making $5 an hour because he didn't have, it's just wild if you ever get a chance to get to know him. And it was just crazy of like how, when you're put under pressure, business wise, personal wise, that is where you get to either crumble or you get to shine because you are able to grow. And all of us have a story, don't we? Every single one of us can write a book based on, trauma, abuse, however you want to look at it. Like all of us, we experience trauma when you're younger, and then you have to deal with it. You hide it, you suppress it for a lot of years, and then you have to deal with it. And once you deal with it, then you're like, okay, well, now what? Do I become a better, stronger person, or do you use this as my crutch? And so if you're not going to use it as a crutch, which a lot of people do, then you say, well, I'm going to have this be what empowers me to be my superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is your superpower, then holy goodness, use it to bless other people. I was talking to this guy, Nazar, and, he was telling me about a little bit more about the Muslim culture, which I don't know very well. And I didn't know that the Muslim culture doesn't allow you to be able to have interest. Like you can't buy a home with an interest-bearing loan. And so they have workarounds on that, which is kind of interesting. It's a whole thing. But, I was telling him, like, listen, if you've got clients, and he's got some doctor clients that are buying like $900,000 properties and renting them out. And it's like, if there is a workaround, you could theoretically get a non-interest bearing loan, and they have like ways of, creative financing to do it. They're like, why don't you just buy two properties at $450,000 each instead of buying one property for $900,000? He's like, I never thought of it that way before. I'm like, yeah, why not? And, our job as agents is to be able to help create wealth. That's the beauty of our job, is that we get to impact lives in ways that really no other industry could have that impact. And so like that burden, that the blessing, the benefit, however you want to phrase it or look at it, lies on our shoulders. I'm sure all of you have helped a first-time home buyer buy a property. Mm-hmm. It is a magical time, right? Being able to hand keys to them when it's all said and done. Kind of anticlimactic in some ways, but in some ways it is beautiful because the joy in their faces when they walk in their door and they're like, this is mine now. After 30 years of payments, this will be mine, but I get to live here. And it is beautiful. It's amazing. But it is the result of the work that we put in, the efforts that we put in, and the work that we do moving forward in 2026 is going to be directly impacted by the amount of times in which we do the things that we don't want to do, that we know we need to do to get the results we want. Is to put in the self-gratification or the instant gratification of the moment to then go out and do something that you know you need to do, but you don't want to do it. As an example of working out, I've got a buddy of mine that owns a Chick-fil-A franchise, and he's like one of those, paper thin individuals, like runs marathon, just all the things. And a lot of me is like, that guy's that's his DNA. And maybe so, right? Maybe his DNA does make it to where he's just one of those guys that weighs like 150 pounds and he'll never gain any weight. But you should see this guy's work ethic, right? Come rain or shine, at freaking 5:30 in the morning, he's at the gym. And we Marco Polo back and forth, and he Marco Polos me. And usually around 6 o'clock, 6:30 or whatever, when he's done. And I'm like, dude, it's dark outside. It's getting cold, it's dark. And don't you just want to like sleep in your snuggly little bed? He's like, every day that alarm goes off, I don't want to get out of bed. Who wants to get out of bed? And those psychopaths that decide to do cold plunges, they don't want to do it. They don't like the feeling of jumping in freezing cold water. But I think it's like doing things that push yourself to a limit that you just wouldn't want to or feel like you can't, gives you that freedom and the power to then do other things that you don't want to do, that you should do to get the things you want. And if you say you want it, but you don't put in the effort, it was just a nice little pipe dream. But those that do, those that say they want it, and then are willing to be disciplined enough to do the things, they'll get those results. And if your limiting belief is that you don't have what it takes, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not yada yada, whatever the story is that you tell yourself, little drunk monkey in your head, all those things are there to stop you from truly accomplishing a goal. And that could be it. That could be the thing that stops you, or that could be the thing that drives you to say, you know what, gosh darn it, enough's enough. It's time to press on. And if you say, you know, like Joe, you might say, oh, well, you know, this is my second career or third career or whatever, and I'm just doing this for fun. Like, why? You know? Yeah, you might not need the money. You might have your pension or retirement or whatever it is. I don't know what your story is. We haven't gotten to know each other all that well. But no matter what it is, no matter what stage of life you're in, no matter how much money you have in your bank account or your 401k or whatever it is, like, you're in this business, and I hope that you are to be able to help other people. And so if you're here to help other people, then do the things that you can to help more people. And the more people you help, magically, your bank account has a reflection on that, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We live in an environment where, you know, we have this opportunity to be able to have endless potential of income. I think Tabitha is willing to come out to your homes next to clean. She seems to like doing that, and that's awesome. Tabitha, I'm next. Call dibs. So after you're done there, please come to home.
I'm literally something I hate doing.
Well, that's good. That's good. And so, like, you guys, I hope that the message that I am able to instill within you is a message of hope and a message of excitement for the opportunity that we have as agents in this industry. There are very many agents out there that are incompetent. And there's a lot of them that are able and competent, but choose not to educate themselves or choose not to put in the effort needed to be a better version of themselves. And I hope that agents that join a call like this, I think most of you guys are part of Fiv, but if you're not, either way, I hope that you have a desire to truly educate yourself every single day. And even if it is just for a moment where you say, you know what, I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes scrolling on social media and watching cat videos or whatever is on your feed. If you say, you know what, instead of 30 minutes of doing this, I'm going to do this for 25 minutes because it brings me joy, because it gives me a chance to kind of just check out. But then I'm going to spend 5 minutes of that either in the beginning part of it or at the end of reading a book, a self-help book, listening to a talk that can help you grow, allowing you to do something that educates your brain, like studying the market, something that feeds your brain, because just like you don't forget to eat food to eat, your brain also is a machine that needs fuel. It needs to be educated. It thrives on that, because if it doesn't, guess what happens to your brain? It just atrophies, right? Who speaks a second language or a third or fourth or whatever?
Mm-mm.
Some of you guys do. What happens if you don't use that second language or third language? In your head, you might think you speak it really well until you actually go to speak it. You're like, oh, shoot, I'm rusty, right? Everything takes practice, over and over again, consistency. And there's nothing different about this. The only difference is that, unfortunately, because we're all independent contractors, I can't hold you to the fire every single day and saying, you need to put in 8 hours of work. And I guarantee that no one is putting in truly 8 hours of work. Even if you are an employee, you're not putting in 8 hours of work, right? Emily's not grinding for 8 hours straight. Like, we all take, we need breaks. We need time to, readjust and all that stuff. And none of that is wrong. I just say, if you are a real estate agent and you have the capacity to do more, be disciplined for at least the 2, 3, 4 hours that you can dedicate. And if you do that, you guys, it's magical. You're not going to see the results right away, just like working out. You might not notice. People may not notice. But if you don't have 2 to 5 pending transactions under contract right now, you're already setting yourself up for a really bad first quarter. And so it starts today, right? If you're in the East Coast, it's 2 o'clock already. If you're in the West Coast, what is it, 11 o'clock? And so you still have time. The day's not over. You can say, I'm going to commit to making 5 phone calls. I'm going to commit to talk to five of my past clients in my sphere. I'm going to make just a quick 30-second video that I can post on social media. I think we all take for granted all the knowledge that we do have. We think it's just common knowledge, but it's not. It's not common at all. And so there's lots of things that we can share, lots of opportunities to be able to create a voice for ourselves, for the communities in which we serve. There's lots of people that are out there that are even part of our families that need help during this time. Don't know, how to do whatever. There's somebody in your family today that you are not aware of that is thinking about selling their house or buying a home right now. Someone that knows you that's thinking about buying or selling real estate right now, and it's not their job to reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
Your job. Talking to you right there. Your job. So I invite you to get some knowledge, to then call them and tell them, say hi, wish them happy holidays, and say, I want to be here as a resource for you. Hopefully you can give them some knowledge to let them know, hey, this person knows what they're talking about. And just extend invitation. Don't ask. Don't ask for anything. Don't ask for a referral. Don't ask for anything. Don't be a taker. Be a giver. Just give and say thank you. Appreciate talking with you. It's always good to hear your voice. If there's anything I can do for you, I'm here. Okay. I hope that these 5 points have been useful. I hope that you guys can get very clear on the goals that you've already set for 2026. And either you have it as a monthly, annually, quarterly goal, whatever. Hope that you guys can dissect that down to the daily, weekly regime of creating those habits that are mandatory to create the calluses needed to overcome the hardness of this job that we do called real estate, that you can push through that time and get to the other side where you get to have success. I'm grateful for every single one of you. I am thankful that we get to be part of this, the real estate industry. I mean, it is such a wonderful, rewarding job that we all have, and it's stressful and it's not easy, right? It's definitely not for the faint of heart, but I know that it is rewarding. And I know that as you guys take on that challenge of saying, okay, like I can do this, I'm going to commit to doing better, and then make those small incremental changes, and then hold yourself accountable by having accountability partners, by putting it out there. And if you guys do that, like people just naturally will start asking questions about, hey, how's it going with that project that you have, or that, commitment that you've done? And, I know that in some ways it's cringy to say, my goal is to help 25 families. So how can I help you? Don't be that person, but say, I'm here as an agent and this is my story, and let people get to know you. I think people get so vulnerable or are afraid to get vulnerable. You guys saw my post about my brown eyes. Some of you guys saw that post. I didn't make that post to get sympathy. I didn't make that post to have people say, oh, you got pretty brown eyes. Shut up. I didn't ask for that. The reason I made that post is because I want people to know that that is an insecurity of mine. My ex-wife would say, well, when we die, I'm going to make God make you 6 feet tall. I'm 5'9". And I think she'd say that half joking, but not, because now she's remarried to a man that is 6 feet tall. But the point I'm making is listen, life's hard. Life's not easy. And we all have our shiz that we deal with. We have our challenges that we deal with. And like when you put yourself out there and you let people know this is who I am, this is what I am, this is who I stand for. You have your integrity, you have who you are, you get to be a good human being, and we all mess up because we all do. This is what I've learned from my mistakes, and this is what I'm doing to be a better human being or better, citizen, or better this, better that, whatever it is. And I think people all that are willing to be vulnerable will say, you know what? I appreciate that person's authenticity. I appreciate that person being vulnerable. It's refreshing to hear when someone isn't just all, hey, look at my lavish lifestyle, look at my yada yada, all my success. Like, come on. Right? Anyway, sorry for rambling. I hope that those 5 key points help. I hope that you guys can leave this masterclass and not just say, oh, that was cool, and then just forget about everything you learned or that we talked about. That you actually apply. Say, okay, what is the one little thing I can do right now that I haven't done? What is the one thing I can commit to doing this week that is different than what I've been doing weeks prior that can make an impact in my business or career? Or even if it's none of that and you focus on your family because that's what you're focused on right now, awesome, do it. Okay. You guys have an amazing week. We'll talk next week. I think next week will be obviously we're not going to be doing a masterclass in 2 weeks from now. So we'll have a call next week, and then the week after that is Christmas. So, anyway, you guys have an amazing week and go out there and crush it. If you guys need help, I'm out here. I'm here to help hustle and work with you guys and help you in any way I can. So appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.